Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we are going to paint our double lot unit Nitto. So 00 unit Nitto. So this is from their latest expansion here. So let me tell you how I painted this guy up and then I'll show you. So let's talk about the colors I used. Primed him standard Mechanicus gray. Then I used Army Painter's matte black, dungeon gray, dark stone, oak brown, cultist robes, moldy clothes, tanned flesh, skeleton bone, pure red, ash gray, and spaceship exterior, and soft tone. And then use some P3 coal black, some Games Workshop Stirland Mud, Reikland Fleshshade, and Bugmans glow, and I used 2 thin coats dragon Fang. So let's go ahead and get this guy started here. To start, I primed it Spectrum Mechanicus gray but then painted it black. So if you want to just go ahead and prime it black, feel free. Make sure to use a primer that won't spray too much at once. So I'm going to use some Army Painter Dungeon Gray and my big dry brush. So I put some Dungeon Gray on it and I've wiped it pretty much so that all the paint is off. I'm going to rub it on a paper towel and then I'm just going to mainly just aiming for the jacket and do his little backpack. And you see that just pretty much catches the edges right there. I want to make sure to get the helmet there, give him a little dusty look. Next I'm going to paint the pants, and I'm going to use P3 coal black. This is the flip top, not the dropper bottle. Let me make sure I can put the top open enough. Okay, so this is for his pants. Just do with this here, we just really have to cut around little pieces of his rig, little pouches hanging off, his side arm holder, his holster. Now I'm going to do his boots, and for that I'm going to use Army Painter Dark Stone, and that's pretty simple, just a couple swipes here. Next up we're going to use some 2 thin coats Dragon Fang, and I am going to put this on, so you'll see there's a little bit of skin between the gloves and his uniform top. And I switched to a smaller brush because I've noticed that on some of the painted examples, these little helmet straps are painted similar tan color, and some of the ear protection. Now you'll notice on these models, some are wearing their shawls and others just have their standard collars there. So that's why I went the smaller brush, just a little hint. Okay, so just go around, fill this in. So I noticed when I looked at the package, it doesn't look like they have cutouts for the finger holes, so I'm not going to paint that on. And then, I almost forgot, I want his little antenna top. Next up we're going to take some Army Painter Oak Brown, and we're going to do a little uniform pattern here. You can see some of the sleeves are rolled. We're not going to take the pattern into there. So I'm going to go back to my little brush here. There's too much light shining on it. Take it, put it on the side here, pull back, and squeeze most of the paint off. And what I like to do is I normally start at one end squish the tip down, and then I do like a little an S maneuver, and so make it look like the pattern's coming out from there. So it's kind of like I'm going droop. I pick different places to do that. When you do the patterns here, remember the fabric will run down and curve. Like if you're doing a tiger stripe or something, just remember which way the fabric's oriented. Because sometimes these stripes are moved in a certain direction, but you don't want to make it too machinic-like. Trying to get them. See where you see the fabric bunch up on the model, that's where it gets a little bit tougher because you got to push the brush in there. Okay, get the other sleeve here. Next up, we're going to use some Army Painter Cultist robe, so really dark green. And the way I like to do this is we'll take our thin brush again, pull off a lot of the paint, and same little S pattern, but we're going to start in some of these tan spots that are still tan, and just dab that little S shape, hit some of the brown, you want to tie some of the brown and tan together. A little overlapping camo there. And so if you did like me and you got the shapes a little too uniform, this presents an opportunity to run the green lines to kind of break up the form of the camouflage. Kind of tamp down the brown and the tan. So you can see right there. I'll do the other arm, same thing. So I'm thinking the green and brown's working pretty well. So now we're going to do the green stripes over the coal black, which is a really dark blue. Call it coal black. Creates a slight blue tint to it. So remember, I'm going to pull my paint dish over here. We put the Cultist robes on. Now I'm going to take some moldy clothes, Army Painter, and make sure. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. Alright, so let's get a little bit. I'm going to pop it up a little bit. You can always take the back of your brush here. Gives my cultist robe just a little bit of fluorescence. And we'll do the same thing, a little bit of that tiger stripe. So make that little swirly shape. Making sure that it follows the pockets. A little too much, so I'll wipe it off. No, it's spinning around and my light would stop changing. What the? Must be getting a power fluctuation. In a really old World War II building right now. Alright, as I fight on with the electrical grid, I'm going to use some Army Painter tanned flesh. And what I'm going to do is, see, we have a little piece of arm on a smaller tip. Grab the larger one I was using earlier. Okay, and a smaller tip there. Brace my pinky. Just hit that area between the glove and the uniform, and I think it makes a nice break. You have the black of the glove that's been dry brushed. We have the dragon fang, the khaki color. We can tell it's been curled up because we can see the camouflage there. So, you know, from a distance, it'll make it more than just a monocolor model. we're going to take some Army Painter Soft Tone. And this is going to be our wash. I'll just take my brush and spread it around all sloppy like. Pretty much aiming for all the little camouflage bits. Get those first. Oh, I forgot, paint the gun, the sidearm grip there. Painted that dragon fang color. There. Nice and neat. A little touch. Alright, and while we let that dry, I'm going to take some Stirland Mud. And what happens is I normally do a whole squad at once. That one, do this right before I go to bed, and my lights are going out again. Jeez Louise. Just get a little... and just put a little bit around here. And then when I get up in the morning I can finish this up. Next up, we're going to use some Army Painter Skeleton Bone, and this is just for the base. I wanted to get it start drying here. But whatever you paint your bases, feel free. I just like to use the same uniform color on all my desert models. Now, while we wait for the sand to dry, I'm going to use some Army Painter Pure Red. And so looking at the box art, their little name tags are really bright red. So we'll go ahead. And of course, our optic systems, just take a little point and dupe. And just try to put a single drop of paint right in that well. And I also want to do the rifle sight. Not the sight, the scope. And one right there, just for fun. And we'll get to the glasses. This is always a pain. Move in there, just slow. Now while we wait for that red to dry, we're going to take some Army Painter Ash Gray. I'm going to get one of my little airbrush. Every time I film, a little wall mount AC comes on, so I'm going to put a little Ash Gray on there, and you can see me wiping it off until I can't see any more coming off. And we'll just light touch. Not too much there. Not too much. And just like sprinkle this around, make all the little details there pop out. Yeah, that's cool. Make sure he's dry up. Alright, as we close in on the end of this, I'm going to take some Army Painter Spaceship Exterior, because it's the closest white color I saw and grabbed out of my box. We're going to get our small brush here. We're going to pull back, just get a little touch of it, and we're going to take one of the lenses and just tap it real quick. Nice little bright blob of white. Okay, do the same thing in the lenses up here, just alright. Now for the tricky part, the glasses. I don't really like, so it's tough to show because he's looking down, but I know it takes take a 2mm swipe like there, and then I'll cock the head right there. I'll start trying to avoid the masks. Since I've already taken most of the paint off, I'm just trying to drag some of the paint off the bristles. And right there, so there we go. And now, where'd I put my wash? I want to do the base now. It's the way I do all my desert bases. It's Reikland Fleshshade. This is the old formula, but you can use the new stuff. Where'd my there it is. Alright, so get here, get it wet. And I'll push this around. You see I've got a little smooth spot right there, so you get to control how much of this you want on it. Alright, we're going to let that dry, then I'll put some Bugmans glow around the rim of the base there. We'll call it a day. So, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.